Due to the nature of this episode, on this following program, everything that we state is strictly our opinion. It does not necessarily reflect the views of the platform that we're on or the wrestling companies that we talk about. And now, don't have a cow. Man.
Welcome to the WrestleMania Report. I'm definitely not who you think I am.
And I'm definitely not who you think I am.
So just stop asking. We're just two reporter people with regular reporter names. But that is not important right now.
No, what's important is that we have breaking news. But first, let's start with the most trusted name in weather, Sonny McLeod.
There's no weatherman here. No Sonny written nothing. Just me, sitting in my rightful place. Not here to join the parade. But if we were, just for a moment, we might say something like, the extended forecast calls for... Just give it to him straight. Tampa Bay will host WrestleMania this April at Raymond James Stadium. And Roman Reigns will walk into Raymond James Stadium as the undisputed Universal Champion, and Roman Reigns will walk out of Raymond James Stadium the Universal Champion. Back to the studio. Wow, Raymond James Stadium is going to be buck wild this April.
Yes, it is. What an honor to host again for the first time.
Now, we have real breaking news in sports.
Raymond James
Haley Berry is
Stadium.
with us live from Dallas. What do you got for us, boss?
I have exclusively from some big news coming out of Texas. Haley, did you get the statement we sent out from Charlotte Jones regarding WrestleMania coming back to AT&T Stadium in 2022? You heard it from me first. WrestleMania will take place in 2022 at AT&T Stadium right here in Texas. It doesn't get much bigger than this. Back to you, Henry.
Haley, dropping exclusives like it's hot.
And how about AT&T Stadium?
Tremendous spectacle.
Hank, you're a tremendous spectacle.
Whoa.
You can't see me in the latest in entertainment. Go.
Wow.
Hugh, we can't see you.
You can't see me? Oh, I love doing that.
And we love that you do it.
You know what else I love? LA. You know when I say LA, it just sounds so manufactured.
Hugh, keep in mind we are live.
You know what else I love? LA. That's right, Hollywood. And who doesn't love a little drama and suspense? Cue dramatic sound. Well, I've got something for you. WrestleMania is going Hollywood. In 2023, you didn't see that plot twist coming. And scene.
No, we didn't.
That one. That's the one. Oh, and also, if you want some, come get some.
Thanks, Hugh. You got a bit carried away there and forgot to mention the scene setting. SoFi Stadium, or as I like to say, SoFine Stadium. It's so majestic it could be the 10th wonder of the world.
One may wonder why it's not. Wonder. Nothing like a good news giggle.
Indeed.
Oh, and that about wraps things up for the WrestleMania report. And we're out.
Oh, my God.
I don't think they knew that was us, you think?
Oh, certainly not. You were awesome. But just incredible.
Wow. Raymond James Stadium, AT&T Stadium, and SoFi Stadium. That is crazy, Jade. I knew that we had to get this out first because this breaking news. This was leaked out on YouTube 4 hours ago on where the locations for WrestleMania will be this year, next year, and the year after that. So Saturday, April 10th and Sunday, April 11th. Of course, that'll be a 2-day event. For this year will take place at the Raymond James Stadium. Sunday, April 3rd, 2022, WrestleMania will be at the AT&T Stadium. And, WrestleMania goes Hollywood. Sunday, April 2nd, 2023, at the SoFi Stadium. Now, what do you think of that, Blockbuster Jade?
Well, it just goes to show that WWE pretty much has their bases covered. All honestly, well, let me just point out that for the record, I don't buy Hunter and Stephanie as anchors. Do you think one of them is friends with Goldie Fisher?
It's a possibility.
I'll keep that in mind.
Because, them having to disguise themselves as anchors, having to include Sasha Banks, having to include John Cena, Mr. You Can't See Me, and of course, you got to include the Universal Champion with the special counselor to the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns. And that's how we open this week's episode with the one and only Jade. I am Ace Monex, and welcome to another edition of Wrestling Weekend Recap, where we bring you the good, the bad, and the latest inside news of what happened with Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, and of course, what's going on with the Wednesday Night Wars between NXT, AEW, and of course, including with them, Impact Wrestling. And we figured that we had to open the show for the first time ever with such breaking news. And I think that news is huge. We're already in 2021. This is already the road to WrestleMania. The Royal Rumble is being talked about. We still can't imagine what a Royal Rumble event is going to be without actual fans there. And of course, we're going to have the WWE Universe go virtual, just like these last number of events that have taken place, because of course, without a crowd, these performers can barely even feel energy. They can barely feel the screams, the hollers, the boos, the cheers, everything that you would expect inside of a WWE show. And I think this was the best way to open up tonight's episode with such blockbuster news. And while we're talking about opening up this program, I do want to apologize for the episode that took place last week. Unfortunately, we were done on our signal. It was cut off to only a half an hour. I completely apologize. We had a lot more to say, and the feed got cut off, and we just didn't know what the heck happened. But now we straightened all that out, and we are going to go for everything that took place with all those programs, with all those shows. Especially, we're going to talk about right now what took place just hours ago with Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill. And Jade, I understand that you kept on basis with what took place tonight.
Yes, I did, and I just want to say that even though we never watched that none of us watched the show in person, I pretty much kept plugged in with everything that transpired earlier at Hard to Kill to see what were going to be the outcomes of the respective matches. And
before I let you continue, we do have to address that we did find out, was it a day or two ago, about the changes to the main event?
Yes, about 2 days.
Yeah, so it was 2 days ago that supposedly the main event suffered a major change. Alex Shelley couldn't make it to the event because he's a part of the 6-man tag main event. Him and Chris Sabin, as part of the Motor City Machine Guns, tagging with the Impact Wrestling champion, the Impact Wrestling champion,
Rich Swann.
I want to shoot myself. I got the image of Kofi Kingston in my head, and I know he's not Kofi Kingston, but yes, Rich Swann. And isn't he shaved anyway?
Not anymore.
Like
He
clean-
grew
he's clean shaven.
He's grew his
Yeah,
beard
and he he grew his beard.
He's grew his beard back.
Oh, okay. I can barely tell those guys apart. I know they have different wrestling outfits and all of that. But yes, my apologies. Impact Wrestling champion Rich Swann going up against the Elite or the Super Elite, whatever the heck they want to call themselves. The band is band together. NWO 2000, thank you. In the form of AEW's World Champion Kenny Omega and the Impact Tag Team Champions, the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson. So, yes, we heard that for some reason or another, Alex Shelley couldn't make it. He couldn't be able to fly to Nashville, Tennessee. We didn't understand what the reason was. We're guessing it's COVID, but then again, we thoroughly don't know. And I don't know if there was any updates on what was the reason why he missed out. But Scott D'Amore had a plan in place. He reached out to Moose, and Moose accepted to be substituting for Alex Shelley for this main event. So the card subject to change now is Moose, Chris Sabin, Impact Wrestling's World Champion Rich Swann against the Elite, Omega, AEW's World Champion, and Impact Tag Team Champions, Good Brothers, Anderson and Gallows. Jay, do you have the results? Is it like I predicted?
Yes.
So there was no point for us to even watch the damn thing if we knew the Elite, Super Elite 2020, whatever they want to call themselves. And from the image that you showed me while you were staying tuned on Twitter, Kenny Omega was wearing the Bullet Club Halloween t-shirt. Yeah, way to go. We know that he can't wear the real McCoy because otherwise, yeah, he's going to have New Japan Pro Wrestling breathing down his neck and getting at him for using a trademark that really not even AEW nor Impact can use because they're not authorized to do so. But they can get away with murder with a Bullet Club Halloween t-shirt. Way to go, guys. But I also understood that Moose had his issues with Rich Swann, I think, in the last number of months. So I wonder if those issues ever got squashed. They were put on hold. But I'm smelling if in order for this to be the Good Brothers and Omega's night, they would have to go dirty at all costs, do what they do best, and make sure that they get the win for them, for their team. Just to prove the point that they are the hottest commodity right now in all of wrestling. I mean, the example we can talk about what happened on AEW Dynamite when supposedly on one segment, Kenny Omega came in through the back with Don Callis, and it looks like the band was going to get back together indeed in the form of Omega and the Young Bucks, AEW's World Tag Team Champions. Once Mr. Cleaner was introduced first, then all of a sudden, we didn't see the Young Bucks come out, but we saw coming from the outside of the outskirts of the arena coming in to the side to get to the ring. It was the Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Champions, the Good Brothers. So it surprised me, but at the same time, it had to be done because they were giving us a preview just 3-4 nights away from Hard to Kill. What you could expect from them three guys for this main event 6-man tag that took place tonight. And I'll give them credit, Omega and the Good Brothers. They delivered. My God, so I can't imagine how that match went down tonight. But yes, the end result, the Elite, they won, and that was it. And I know there was other matches that honestly I didn't care for. There were a couple of others that were kind of interesting, but yet even I wonder, what those end results are. Jay, do you know of any other matches that took place tonight at Hard to Kill for Impact Wrestling's pay-per-view tonight?
There were other matches that took place earlier, like of course earlier was the final match for the Knockouts tag team tournament, and between Havoc and Nevaeh against the team of Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz, and the team of Hogan and Steelz ended up winning that match and became the Knockouts tag team champions.
The new Knockouts tag team champions?
Yes, there was a title defense of the Knockouts title, and between the Virtuosa and La Huera Loca, of course, Taya Valkyrie.
Taya Valkyrie against Diana Purrazzo.
Yes,
and
yes, no matter how much Taya wanted to get that back, but unfortunately the Virtuosa was too much for her, and by logic, she ended up retaining the championship.
I gotta say, Diana Purrazzo, how we first found out of hers was, of course, when we seen her in Ring of Honor 3-4 years ago. She was dating Mr. Villain Marty Scurll at the time. Diana was just barely beginning to blossom as a female superstar in professional wrestling. She did pretty good for herself. I mean, going from Ring of Honor, having to go to WWE for the Mae Young Classics. Then she did a little stint time in NXT, and now she's in it, of course, until she got released. Then she got signed to Impact Wrestling, and immediately within a short amount of time, she became a Knockouts champion. I know I stated for the record that normally I don't follow Impact Wrestling, but I see the clips on YouTube, and the superstars and people that I'm familiar with. There'd be times where I watch those segments, and then either it's like, okay, cool, they had a nice little match, cool little segment, and there were others that people that were involved in some segment that really never got a benefit out of it. I just find it really like, okay, whatever, next, that type of feel. So, but yeah, Diana Purrazzo, legit women's wrestler, and she's the Knockouts champion, and she's proven it on why she's worthy of holding that title in Impact Wrestling. Any other results of matches that took place that you know about?
Yes, there was a 6-man tag match with Tommy Dreamer and Cousin Jake and Rhino against the team of Eric Young, Joe Dorian, and I'm trying to remember, Cody Deaner. Of course, Cody Deaner, now the reinvented Cody Deaner, sadistic Cody Deaner, and they ended up winning their match.
Oh, okay. So the heels won the match?
Yeah, the bad guys won the match.
Eric Young's team
won the match. There was a 3-way match for the X division, and when Chris Bay or Hiraju competed against Manic, and pretty much put your thinking caps on this one. Take a guess who Manic is. And yes, he ended up retaining the X Division champion. And you have an idea who Manic is.
Wasn't he the original Suicide?
Yes.
TJP?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, whether he's Suicide, whether he's Manic, or whether he's TJP, That kid has a lot of talent. Very high flying, very aerial. This kid pulls all the stops, man. I mean, he was great as, like I said, he was great as Suicide. I hardly see him as Manic, or at least when the second time that he came around, but as Manic. And TJP with WWE and the Cruiserweight Classics and NXT, of course, or 205 Live. He had a lot of good matches. He had very good matches. So, he's only blossoming more as a performer, a high-flying performer that he is. And, of course, he's back home where he began, or at least where he got his major exposure with Impact Wrestling. Whoa. Hold on. Oh, no, that was from Wednesday.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Were there any other matches that took place that you know the results of?
Not really. However, there is one thing I do have to mention. For some of you that already saw Hard to Kill, there's no reason for me to say it.
Is this the inside news that you're gonna?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
But for those of you that did not watch Order Hard to Kill, or quite frankly, are not as Impact fans, I just found out that officially, as of earlier today, Impact has officially signed Matt Cardona, as in Zack Ryder.
We.
Yes.
For my version, we. But it's cool that he finally has some place to work, to wrestle. He's been in the WWE a long time as Long Island Z.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Zack Ryder. We've seen his. I think he only had like what, 1 or 2 matches in AEW.
Yes.
3 maybe. I think it was 2, right? That's as Matt Cardona himself. That's his real name. Now that he's wrestling in Impact Wrestling, I think now he's going to get, hopefully he gets more exposure. He gets to show what he's all about and perfect this craft a whole lot more. But you just told me your major wish is that hopefully him and his former tag team partner,
Brian Myers,
formerly
Kurt Hawkins.
Yeah, who used to be Kurt Hawkins with WWE. I think if we put them back together, I think in Impact Wrestling, they could be a whole lot better. I really believe that. Because if what we've seen in WWE was something, or at least, how they got to know each other and better each other and work with each other for as long as they did there. In Impact, I think it's going to be a lot more beneficial for them to further hone their craft as a tag team. But I know maybe right now their plans are doing it separately, but there's going to come a time where hopefully they do get paired together and show what the Impact Wrestling fans, what they're all about. So I guess that's the only results that we know for Hard to Kill. But yeah, my prediction was that the Elite was going to win the match, and I didn't even have to see it just to know how serious and how hard Omega, Anderson, and Gallows, they were going to take this thing. Now, we are going to talk about what happened. Well, while we talked AEW and all that, I guess let's begin with the Wednesday Night War. This week, of course, unfortunately, with the whole talk about, or everything revolving around, Donald Trump's second impeachment and all of that freaking garbage. Still, from what I heard, AEW got a little bit of more viewership this week than NXT. But since normally I record these shows, DVR them, and watch them later once they're aired, my opinion, both of the shows, they did pretty good. Yeah, AEW did a whole lot better than NXT. But that's because they I mean, they had a lot of good segments. They had a lot of great matches. Why don't we just start with AEW? They put in a very good match to start with, and that's the one between Eddie Kingston and Pac. This has been a rivalry that has started ever since the beginning of the pandemic last year. Pac, of course, was in the UK at the time. Eddie Kingston was already in, and we saw very little of the Death Triangle. I thought that was going to be a very hot trio to start. And unfortunately, like I mentioned in previous episodes before, because of the pandemic, we didn't get to see them go as further high as we would like them to see. So into the fight, Pac was red hot. He was getting at Eddie Kingston. And then already in the middle of the match, Eddie Kingston was taking everything that Pac had to deliver him, and then some. But not to discount Eddie Kingston at all, because Eddie Kingston, there's just something about that guy that when you go at him, he comes back a whole lot harder. He absorbs everything that his opponent gives him, only to come back even stronger. And, you know, that's what I've noticed from his days in Impact. I know I said this in other episodes, you know, what we've seen in Impact, what he has done in NWA last year before going into AEW later on. And Eddie Kingston has just been he's been upping his game, you know, for as long as we can remember. But the match with him and Pac was just something spectacular. Those two guys brought it hard, and they just were on the tops. And of course, you know, there was interference back and forth with Kingston's family, and as far as Butcher and Blade and Bunny was concerned. Of course, the Lucha Brothers, they were on Pac's side, representing as well and making sure that there was no interference or whatnot, you know, or to even up the odds, just in case if it did went down. And like I said, man, that match was really, really something. It was really incredible. You know what? While we're at it, why don't we just go into this clip and just see some of those highlights? Yeah, right here we're already seeing that Kingston is already on his knees. Pac is giving him these kicks, and he was absorbing them. He was absorbing them really, really hard. And after everything that in the beginning of the match Pac gave to Eddie Kingston, he just took everything that he had. And right here he's pushing him, daring him to give him more. And look at that. Eddie Kingston just stop him at the pass with a chop, give him the enziguri, and do a kind of like a T-bone backsnap suplex, goes for the cover, and only got a 2 count. I'm telling you, man, Kingston is just a trip, a huge trip, but I don't want to count out Pac either. Even though I don't like Pac's character, but you can't deny Pac, or formerly known as Neville. He is a great high-flying aerial superstar that nobody can take away from him. And both guys getting up, Kingston getting up, Pac's already up. Got him in the corner. Another chop, and right here I think Pac was trying to take it. Gets out of the way. An elbow shot. Kick to the face. Kingston up. An enziguri or a kick to the side of his face. And look at that. Look at the visual from Kingston, man. He kicked them into tomorrow. Like when we seen this on Wednesday, it's like, yeah, he kicked them into Thursday. And you know what that means. And right there, on top. Here I thought maybe like a Spanish fly or like a vertical suplex, and indeed it was a vertical. But see how Eddie Kingston landed right there, how it affected his lower back. Here I thought, I'm like, damn, man. Hopefully he gets up out of it. But yeah, it was that pain was literally killing him. Like literally. Look at that. Seeing the replay again out of those two shots, like he almost landed on his tuchus, on his glutes, but still, on the lower back, that's killer, man. Already two kicks, one kick to the chest, two to the face, right on the corner of the turnbuckle. European uppercut right there. And he slams him down. And look at that. I'm telling you, man, Kingston just blasts out with a clothesline, man. That is like so kick ass from this guy. How Kingston just absorbs everything. He absorbs everything, and with one opportunity, he just comes right back at you hard, man. That's why you gotta show props and love to Eddie Kingston, man. Swear to God. He was gonna go for the DDT. Pac held on, already smelled it. On his knees, drop kick to the face. Dragged him to the close to the turnbuckles near the entrance ramp. Pac posts up, trying to hold on to his balance. Delivers the Black Arrow. Gets the 1, 2, 3. Pac wins the match.
And that's pretty much the one part that I want to say about Eddie Kingston. He pretty much gives his heart, his whole. He pretty much goes to it. He pretty much goes to all the pain. But no matter how hard he tries, he by inches, like I say inches, depending on the matches, like it could be a couple of inches, or but on that night it was like about by an inch. He just fell short. But yeah, he gave it his all. But unfortunately, it was the bastard who emerged victorious.
And then, of course, he did the brutalizer, adding insult to injury. Then all these guys come in, Butcher, Blade, Rey Fenix, and Pentagon Zero. Then Lance Archer with WWE Hall of Famer Jake the Snake Roberts comes in, and there's still tidbit between him and Kofi and Eddie Kingston. But of course, Pac already getting in his face. So here I'm saying, okay, is Pac really done with Eddie Kingston, or he still wants some more of him? But bottom line is Lance Archer wants a piece. He's been having issues with Eddie Kingston, since forever. So that's why he came out, wanted to get some of Eddie Kingston. Nonetheless, the match between Pac and Eddie Kingston, man, it was just it's been something that I've been anticipating already for like ages. And during this, I guess, 9-month, 10-month culmination of a story being told and delivered it into a wrestling match, it was greatly defined. No doubt about that. I think another match that we definitely got to talk about is the NWA Women's World Championship between Serena Deeb and my favorite girl, Tay Conti, because Latinas know how to do it better. Here I thought Tay Conti was at the level that she needed to be in order to face Serena Deeb, because if we remember correctly, Tay Conti, Tainara Conti, that used to be her name in WWE with NXT, she had matches. I don't remember if she was a part of the Mae Young Classic tournament. She was. Yes. But there was just something about this girl, besides her cute look, her great physical shape, the fact that she is multilingual, On top of all of that, this girl can go. She really does. And but she's never had an opportunity that I can remember at a championship until this point. And it's an NWA Women's World Title, for Christ's sakes. So I'm pretty sure for her it had to be an honor to face Serena Deeb. And then on top of all that, Serena Deeb did taught Tainara Conti when Serena Deeb was in charge of the girls with NXT at the time. She was teaching them, she was training them, and in the process, Tainara Conti, of course, she was one of her students. So she got to learn as much as she could from Serena Deeb. And in this match, we got to see how the student was almost trying to surpass the teacher at this point. But the teacher, of course, didn't taught Tai Conti everything that she needed to know. She only taught her what she taught her. And we're already in the middle of the clip. We saw that she was going for a 2 count. Serena Deeb got a 2 count after trying to do a pinfall. She's already got Tai Conti on top of the top turnbuckle where the camera was facing at her. Serena Deeb was trying to do, I think she was doing a submission while on the ropes. Aubrey Edwards was already counting her to let go. Conti got herself back into position, kicked her down, flew over her, and gave her this is the second high kick that I remember that she delivered, because the first one, it was so hard that Serena Deeb already was walking and throwing herself out in between the middle ropes. That one was really hard. And of course, a flatliner type of move, and I think that's how Serena Deeb won the match. Yeah. And retained the NWA Women's World Title. It was a good match, nonetheless. You know, I was really pulling for Tai Conti to get it, but you know, Serena proves why right now she's at the top of her game and representing NWA very well.
Yes, I definitely agree. That was a great match, and I mean, hopefully it tests itself for what expects for Tainara this year for her and for her run in AEW. Hopefully, she had a shot at the NWA Women's Title, but whenever she pulls out, high quality women's matches, hopefully she start getting wins under her belt, and hopefully she starts vying for at least for the AEW Women's title, at least this year.
I mean, like I said, Tai Conti, she's a smash. She's one heck of an athlete. I hope that they continue pushing her because she deserves the world, to be honest. She's got a lot going for her. I support her. And I want to see her win a women's world championship, whether it be for the NWA, AEW women's title, just something, because, this is only going to boost up her superstar status in AEW for sure. What else happened? Oh, the debut of the waiting room. I'm not going to get into the clip, but having to bring Cody, of course, was the guest, but having to include Jade Cargill, and having to yap about her and Shaq and all of that and how they're not satisfied. I'm like, what the hell is this? Freaking November, December, whatever? Like, we already seen this thing. And of course, she talked about Brandy, and Brandy can't be there to defend herself because, we all know that she's pregnant. Hopefully she's doing well. But Red Velvet stepped up, and defended Brandy's honor, which is cool. And that lasted very little until the feed was interrupted and Thunder Rosa came out with a video. And from what we understood, the reason why, there was supposed to be a match that should have taken place for New Year's Smash Night 2 that involved Thunder Rosa that didn't take place because I believe she got tested positive for COVID. So that's why they had her do a video promo from where she was located, like I said, at her establishment, her residence. But she made it official that for the next event, do you recall what was the event for AEW?
Beach Break.
Beach Break. A match has been set up. Tony Khan give the okay to Thunder Rosa. So it'll be Thunder Rosa going against Dr. Britt Baker one-on-one. I don't know if there's any stipulations or anything like that. They should add stipulations, to be honest, because if it's just straight up one-on-one, Dr. Britt Baker and their sister, they're going to find a way to cheat Thunder Rosa out of the match. So they should add a stipulation. Unless they did add a stipulation, I don't remember. I mean, all of that happened really fast. And Dr. Britt Baker couldn't believe it once she heard the news. She was like stunned. And then right away it led to the next segment. What else? Oh, the Inner Circle's New Year's resolution. Should I even get into that clip?
Your call.
I don't know, because the only good line that came out of that was that Jericho per Sami Zayn. Oh my God, I gotta shoot myself with a gun. The Spanish God, Sammy Guevara. Per his words, he stated that Jericho was a tag team slut. Oh my God. And then, of course, that led the chanting frenzy of tag team slut. Well, yeah, it's true. But, Jericho's the leader of the Inner Circle, as per his rights. I mean, he created the group. He wanted to show who he's good with as far as tagging up with his guys. He already tagged up with Guevara. He already tagged up with Hager. That's pretty much it, right? Just them two.
Yes.
And now he wants to tag up with MJF. He stated that he wants, or I think it was MJF that stated him and Jericho, they should get the AEW tag team belts. And supposedly, I think Sammy had an issue about that. So, but this is my take on the segment. From what we're seeing in the last number of weeks, the Inner Circle is not really in turmoil. What I'm starting to see is that the Inner Circle are competing against each other. They're making each other better. And that's what I like to see. Instead of a house divided, you got to make each other better. Although I'm not too sure about MJF, because he's the only guy that is the rotten poison apple of the bunch, and he is very good at stirring shit up. Doesn't matter what situation, doesn't matter who it involves within the Inner Circle, but he'll do it. He don't care. But yeah, and now it's leading to the point where next week there's going to be a 3-way tag match. It'll be Jericho and MJF. It'll be Sammy Hagar. Sammy Hagar is going to be in that match. Guevara and
Jake.
Guevara Jake. I think that should be mentioned better. And of course, the best tag team that I've ever seen since Impact Wrestling. Pride and Powerful, the duo of Santana and Ortiz. Who's going to be my pick? I really don't know. But I think it's going to lean more towards Jericho and MJF because these guys have been inseparable ever since this view of these two getting at each other's throats or getting them together and being a part of the inner circle. I mean, as it progressed already for months, this is the whole point of this segment, is to see how good Jericho and MJF can work together as a team, how they can blossom as a team. Because we've seen the Les Sex gods, or of Guevara and Jericho. We've seen Jericho and Hagar; they were pretty good, and that's it. So now we got to see how good MJF and Jericho can hang with each other. By the way, last week I was kind of disappointed with the match between Hager and Wardlow. Wardlow won the match when I kind of expected Hager to win the match, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's my take on that segment. I know next week's three-way tag is going to be really good, but yeah, this is to further solidate MJF and Jericho as a tag team if they start this now. Jurassic Express against FTR. That match, I'm going to go into it. I couldn't be more impressed with Jurassic Express, to be honest. Marco Stunt has a lot of balls. He's got a lot of balls, man. And he don't care who he steps up to, how hurt does he have to be to get to the point, but damn it, he is not afraid. He's not afraid of getting his little butt kicked. And Marco Stunt is loads of fun to watch. Jungle Boy, I mean, come on, don't get me started with Jungle Boy. You know how I feel about Jungle Boy. He's Luke Perry's son, for Christ's sakes, man. Jack Perry is just awesome. He's living out his dream. He's showing what an athlete he could be. I mean, the match that he had with Chris Jericho, man, it was just awesome. It was outstanding. He's only getting better each and every single time that he steps into that ring, whether he goes solo or whether he tags with Marco Stunt or Luchasaurus or in a six-man tag, them three all together. Jungle Boy is just amazing. He's very amazing to watch. And here I thought they had a chance against this old school vibe and mentality of the Minnesota Wrecking Crew in FTR. Wheeler and Hardwood, they are doing very well at bringing that old school concept back. Even when they were in WWE as the Revival, but I don't think they wanted to bring out more, but just the WWE management didn't let them, and that was their big mistake. But they're getting that chance now in AEW. But the match that they had this past Wednesday night, it was hard hitting to the punch. I mean, as we're seeing the clips right now, it was hard hitting to the max, and no puns intended to FTR. But yeah, they were wasting and they were mauling at Marco Stunt. I mean, right here, we're seeing how Max Hardwood is mauling Marco Stunt in the corner. The ref trying to, break up the mauling, break up the and look at that. That was smart from Marco Stunt, having to do a low blow, and the ref did not see it. And then, of course, the Spike Dudley Bulldog. And look at the roll-up. The roll-up was good, but not enough. Not enough at all. And then, of course, what really turned it around for FTR, of course, was the assistance of WWE Hall of Famer and original Four Horsemen member Tully Blanchard. Now look at that power right there by Stunt onto Hardwood, and right there Blanchard just posted Little Marco Stunt, and of course Jungle Boy's got beef with that, turning his attention to the Hall of Famer. And right there, look at that. Freaking Wheeler was waiting at him outside with a clothesline, and then, damn, just tossed him onto the rail on the outside, brings in Stunt. And, of course, they were going to waste the weak link or the little man of the team. Like, really, guys? That just shows what biggest bullies, jackasses you can be. But that's how FTR rolls. That's how these guys roll. So the match itself, it was really good to watch. FTR, Jurassic Express, hats off to you guys, man. That was an enjoyable match for sure. For sure. Despite the end result, it was an enjoyable match. I didn't understand the concept of in the match with Miro and Chucky T. If Chucky T lost the match, then he would be Miro's butler?
What's all those stipulation is?
I mean, I don't know. I think it got lost with the train of thought, or was there something I was missing when even Trent was around? Because I think Trent is out on he's out on injury, I believe.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, it narrows down with the best friends, just Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor. But as we watch the clip, of course, we're already in the middle of the match. But Chucky T, man, I gotta tell you, in the beginning of that match, Chuck Taylor was just out there. He landed it to Miro halfway in the match, halfway in the beginning of the match to the middle of it. And then from there, I think right here, this is where we're seeing the clip. This is going to be the turnaround. No, he's still on Miro. He's still owning Miro. And I got to give Chucky T props, man. I mean, who in their right minds would own Miro for the beginning to that halfway to the match? Haven't seen that done in a long time. Oh, yeah, and of course this punk-ass Kip Sabian, who I don't like, wastes Cassidy on the outside. Chucky T still owning Miro inside of the ring. And I think, this is the turnaround right there, the Samoan drop by Miro. And Miro goes to work. Look at this savage beast, man, from Bulgaria. I mean, Miro used to be Rusev in WWE. I mean, he's still kick ass. And right here, he's kicking more ass than ever before. Look at this. A German suplex. German overhead suplex. Come on, man. I mean, Miro is a freaking beast, I swear. Look at that. Roundhouse kick. This guy, man, he's stupendous as an athlete. Stupendous. I mean, and I say it in a very huge positive way. He's ready. He's ready to deliver that accolade. But of course, he's going to deliver that Rusev kick. Look at him, that savage beast. And he says that it's game over. Kick to the middle of the back and goes for the accolade. And of course, Chucky T has no choice but to tap. Oh my God, look at that. Oh, Penelope Ford. Every time I see her on TV, she just, oh my God, gets my heart thumping.
The other thing I have to say about that is like AEW should do themselves a favor, rename that submission move the Arcade.
Well, yeah, since they are gamers. Miro's a gamer, of course. You know, if you people don't know, he's got his own YouTube channel. Dig it up. It's pretty kick-ass, especially when he did the unveiling of the PlayStation 5 that, of course, Lana, his actual wife, got him the gift for him. It was supposed to be a Christmas present, but he opened it up like if it was an early Christmas present. But still, he got a PS5. Miro's a lucky guy. And then right there at the end, Cassidy's already in the ring. Miro carries Chuck Taylor all the way to where they're at outside by the entrance ramp. In the eyes of Miro, man. I swear. I mean, that match I liked big time because Chucky T owned it from the beginning to the middle of the match until Miro took over. And then, yes, it was evident that Miro was going to win that match for sure. What else? What else we haven't touched? Okay, so I guess, we already touched about, the Super Elite, Omega, Anderson, and Gallows. Who did they face for their spruce up match before Hard to Kill on Dynamite?
They faced the Varsity Blondes and Danny Limelight.
Yeah. And credits to those guys. I mean, they try to get on the same level as these guys are, these superstars, but to no avail. And that's all I gotta say about that because we already gave them props in the beginning of this episode. But the match with Brian Cage and Darby Allin, man. Ever since they started showing the timeline of how this war began with Darby Allin and Taz, how Darby Allin didn't want anything from Taz. No advice, no nothing. Taz meant well when he wanted to give him some advice, but Darby Allin feels that he's got this. This is his world. How he delivers it is in his own way. That makes Darby Allin unique. Taz took it as a personal offense until he started building his own FTW all over again, Team Taz, including Brian Cage, including Ricky Starks. Taz bringing in his own son, Captain Hook, or is it Hook from the movie? I don't know. But nonetheless, this build-up, man, I mean, it was like a 10-month build-up, I think?
I think it was probably.
I mean, the build-up was just great, and having to the point where Sting arrived. And then, you got this duo that kind of understands each other without even crossing any words. Sting and Allin, they're like two souls in one. I mean, they can think alike, they can act alike. They're in the same page right here and there. And we're gonna get into that clip because I mean that match, that was just something else, man. When we seen that match on Wednesday night, something told me that Allin was gonna absorb so much from this beast, Brian Cage. It's like it's a no joke type of thing, but at the same time, it's a frustrator on Cage's side. And even Taz, who was watching the match from the commentating section. But everything that Cage delivered to Allin absorbed it with, I don't know how the hell he absorbs all of that pain. He takes it in like nothing. And right now we're seeing the clip to where Brian Cage is moving the steel steps in the middle, which is, of course, it's almost towards the entrance to Dynamite to the back. Cage is almost setting up Darby Allin right here with his, I think he was going to go for a DVD driver or something like that. And got off of it, drop kick. Cage hanging on for dear life until he bit his fingers off, his hand off. Oh, my God, how he landed back onto the steel steps. And then from there on the middle rope, Darby Allin did the coffin
drop.
The coffin drop onto Cage while he's on the steel steps. My God. This is just nuts, man. It's just crazy. I'm telling you. Look at that. The freaking thump, man. It's like, oh my, that just gave me the heebie-jeebies, man. And then adding the coffin drop, that was insult to injury, man. But still, that was like so cool. I gotta tell you that. But still, he's absorbing all of this. He's getting up right now. Already in the ring. Brian Cage is already like halfway up. The ref is still counting. I think he was already at 9, and he made it in. Darby Allin already taking off the tape, already smacking Brian Cage. Right, left, right. He is like in the zone. Oh, and he got caught. It brought him forward to him, did a bear hug. I think he just scratched his face. And right into position, I think what the sliced bread or cutter took off his own belt, tied up Cage, and did he took advantage on the machine, Brian Cage, man. Look at him. That is some wicked stuff. But look at Cage, man, on his knees, and he delivered like that flat drop. Already got out of the belt, did like a, what do you call that?
Destroyer.
Like, yeah, the destroyer. And still got a 2 count. And Allin already bleeding from his head. Going into the corner right there. Drop kick. And Cage already setting up on position. But only got a 2 count right there. But look at that. That got him to leap to the top turnbuckle. Did how do you call it? The steps right there. Who's that right there? Oh, that was Ricky Starks that interfered, pulled Allin down. Sting appears, back to the chest, hard in the gut, swing to the gut. And yeah, Sting was there to make sure that Darby Allin didn't got screwed by Taz's boys. Making sure that everything was on even playing field. Cage already got Allin on the back. And look at that. It turned into a crucifixion pin, I believe. And Darby Allin still retains the All Elite Wrestling Turner Network television title. That was an incredible match. That was a very good match to end Dynamite.
The way how that match started out was pretty much where Brian Cage pretty much started beating Darby to a pulp, and pretty much the highlight of that match was when Brian hoisted Darby up and literally tossed him like close to like I'm gonna say 10 feet or so right onto the timekeeper's table, and pretty much I thought, oh my goodness, he could be hurt really bad. And miraculously, the only thing he suffered was only that flesh wound right on the thing on the side of his right temple, or so that caused him to, like, I think he lost. I'm guessing lost like about like 1.5 cc's of blood or so.
Mm-hmm. But back to what I was saying earlier, Darby Allin absorbed everything that Brian Cage had to give him, everything. And this kid comes back like nothing, man. I'm telling you. And it was you can call it a miracle. You can call it some sort of
call it guts.
I say it's gutsy, but Darby Allin always had it in him. And I think without Sting's assistance, maybe it would have went a different way. But we knew evidently that Darby Allin was going to retain the TNT title. So that was an incredible match. An incredible match to end AEW Dynamite. So that is that. Let's jump to its competition. WWE NXT. Now, with NXT, as I scroll down for the clips to see what we can start talking about for NXT. Let's talk about the debut of MSK, because you know these guys more than I do. And who ended up being MSK?
They were formerly known as the Rascals. Zachary Wentz and Dez. Well, I know his name. I just remember him as Dez.
Do you remember their names now as MSK? Who is who?
I think let's see. They mentioned. I remember Wesley. Wesley is
Yes.
Dez.
Yes.
And there was another name mentioned. I forgot the other name.
Let me see if I can jump on that right now. I still have that.
I think the last name was Jackson or something.
No, it's not. It's not Jackson. Let's see here. MSK. I wonder what MSK actually stands for. Nash Carter.
Oh, Nash Carter. Yes, Nash Carter's Wentz.
Yeah. So Wesley and Nash Carter of MSK. Their debut in NXT going up against let me go back. Their debut nonetheless. Oh, okay, they already uploaded a clip of Omega's epic arrival at Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill and the highlights. Yeah. That's cute. And it looks like he clean shaven himself. It looks like he's trying to look like wait a minute. You know what? Let's put this NXT thing on hold right now. I'm going to jump to this clip. These guys are basically, they're going back to like 2013, 14. This is 2020, for Christ's sakes. The Good Brothers, they came out in their classic Bullet Club attire, while Luke Gallows or Doc Gallows modified his big LG wrestling gear and added some Bullet Club logo features. So, or I think that's what they wore back in New Japan, nonetheless. And of course, Don Callis and his big mouth. Oh, while we're on the subject of Don Callis, I found out something through Wrestle Talk. So supposedly back in '97, when he was the Jackal, the original idea for him is that he really never wanted to be a manager. He really wanted to be a wrestler. He never wanted to be a manager nor a commentator. He wanted to be a wrestler. Either that or being on the higher echelons of, I guess, the office of WWE, or something like that. That's what Don Callis really wanted to be at the time. But obviously, when you're in this business, you're gonna learn the ropes from scratch to where you can get to the top spot or top spot in the office, whatever. Because there's ways how a person can get to level wise. And look where Don Callis is now, commentating for New Japan, having, I guess, a business relationship with New Japan while he's running Impact Wrestling. And now he's the guy who is crossing wrestling lines from Impact towards AEW because of one Kenny Omega. And then, of course, he's coming out with his Bullet Club Halloween t-shirt. Give me a break. But it's like I said, like I stated, the last thing he wants, or the last thing any of these guys want, is to get in trouble with New Japan, because they really can't use the trademark. They really can't use the trademark. Otherwise, these guys will get sued. And the rest of the legal mumbo jumbo that goes with it. So yeah, I think the real question now is, what does Tama Tonga have to say about all this? Because even he stated earlier, if you're not Bullet Club 2020, then, or at least last year, because this was last year still. If you're not Bullet Club 2020, you're not Bullet Club, bottom line. So could this be also something in the works where Tama Tonga is going to take offense to this? Maybe if once it's clear that New Japan and Impact and AEW can do business together, business relationship, as this further goes and blossoms and grows. What title is Moose wearing?
He's wearing the TNA title. For the record, it doesn't mean much.
What does it mean much? So it's like we're in WWE. So it's like Rich Swann is Drew McIntyre being the WWE champion, and Moose is pretty much being like Roman Reigns SmackDown, being the Universal champion. In a way. Yeah, in a way, because you're saying that the TNA title don't mean anything. And it is true, because TNA doesn't mean anything now.
Right.
Like how it did back in the beginning of the Asylum days, to where they ended up having a business relationship and being exposed on Fox, to where they ended up on Spike TV, to where we started seeing them full-time once, before the Main Event Mafia came along, but when Slammiversary came to town, to the Sears Center.
Buffalo Glory.
Yeah. So yeah, all they showed right now is just pretty much the entrance. So yeah, bottom line was that they couldn't. They were seen in Bullet Club attire. I don't know if they're gonna get sued for it. I don't know if they got the rights to it, or if they got permission. All of that. But now that we got that out of the way, because we've seen the video that just got uploaded, we're gonna jump right back to NXT. What can we talk about NXT? The Way. Let's talk about The Way. The Way has been getting away with murder on both sides. Because Candice LeRae, once again, she was getting the best out of Shotzi Blackheart. And Johnny Gargano, he had a match with Dexter Lumis. It was a very, very good match until The Way was getting away with murder again. And, of course, that involved Kushida. Kushida got in the picture, and, of course, there was still unfinished business with Johnny Gargano. And we will jump into that match, because that match was it was all right. I mean, I liked the match for what it was worth, because I wanted to see Dexter Lumis, get a hand in the match and having some sort of an advance, as far as getting the upper hand, and maybe have a chance to maybe become the number one contender to the North American Championship. But yeah, blocked out of my mind that Kushida was still gunning for Johnny Gargano and the North American Championship. And Kushida, in the last within the last month or so, he's been on fire. His intensity has been growing to the max, and he's been showing it as of late. And he did pretty good hosting last week's New Year's Evil episode of NXT. He didn't have to say words. The pictures spoke for themselves. All of the paintings that he did pretty much spoke for themselves. And right here, we're seeing how Lumis was going to go for the silence, and Gargano broke it up. So I think he was going to do a crossbody. Lumis caught it, put him back. He was going to go for the silencer again, and Gargano, he was doing a crucifix pin and only got a 2 count. Kick to the left arm of Lumis. Until Lumis, he got up and started staring at him. He kicked him again, very desperately, and he just couldn't get the job done. Got a 2 count. And right here, this part, European uppercut from Lumis. Give him another shot, and Gargano another shot to the head. He was going to go for a DDT here, but he held on for dear life. And the silence, that submission move from Lumis, he was going to go for it until Austin Theory tried to interfere. And he was going to put him in it. And then, of course, it led to a suplex of sorts, and Gargano got him in a roll-up. And that's how he capitalized on Dexter Lumis, man. But, of course, the one who he's got his eye on is Austin Theory for interfering in the match. And right here, he's applying the silencer. And Theory's tapping. And, of course, I was expecting Gargano to come in, and he did, stomping on the pre-Stone Cold Steve Austin concept in Dexter Lumis. Trying to be that one... I think it was that killer in was it in Texas or
I
would have to watch that documentary on Stone Cold again of how this one killer actually got that stare and how Austin can play that out. Kushida comes in, decking already on Gargano. He got some on Austin Theory. Goes in the ring and look at Kushida go. Look at Kushida go. Applying a kind of like a Kimura lock. And right there, the silence applied from Lumis onto Austin Theory. I'm smelling a tag match, hopefully, for this Wednesday. They should have a tag match. Kushida and Dexter Lumis against The Way, representing Austin Theory and the North American champion, Johnny Gargano. And look at that. And Kushida just tossed the title right onto a hurt and even freaked out Johnny Gargano. That was very interesting. But yeah, the match, like I said, it was pretty good. Seeing the promo with Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher for next week's Fight Pit. And I think it's pretty ballsy for Ciampa to give Timothy Thatcher a match that he is only familiar with. Ciampa has no idea, or maybe has an idea what Timothy Thatcher can do, but obviously he's laying it out there that Timothy Thatcher doesn't have an idea what Tommaso Ciampa can do, being in that fight pit fight, whatever.
Well, that issue started out ever since December because Timothy Thatcher, his goal ever since making it into the NXT scene is to make a name for himself, but at the expense of Tommaso, pretty much that's a death wish. But nonetheless, you pretty much the scenario is going to be for this Wednesday in the fight pit. I mean, you talk about Timothy Thatcher. I mean, he's got a great background. He can fight. And that's one of the reasons why it's a fight pit. But you talk about Tommaso. When you take the guy pretty much out of his element, he's more they're pretty much the advantage goes to him because pretty much when he's out of his element, when you can make him more focused, you can make him more dangerous because that's what he thrives on. And that's pretty much Tommaso's forte. He thrives on being dangerous. He thrives on pretty much picking on you. He picks the spots. So that's pretty much what you expect to see on this Wednesday on NXT.
I think Tommaso Ciampa has a chance of defeating Timothy Thatcher inside of this fight pit. Even though he's never been in one before, and I know Timothy Thatcher thinks he's got the upper hand because he's been in that playground. That is his playpen. And he knows in his mind that he's got Tommaso Ciampa's number. But it's Tommaso Ciampa that thinks that he's got Timothy Thatcher's number for his sacred playground that only he is an expert on. And that promo was, like I said, very intense, of course, with Wade Barrett in the middle having to talk to these two guys. But yeah, I can't wait for that fight pit to take place. Well, we talked about it a little bit earlier on, the debut of MSK as they debuted against Isaiah Swerve Scott and Jake Atlas. MSK, like I said, I don't know nothing about them. You got to see them in Impact Wrestling as the Rascals. Only you gave already a little bit of background, but I was impressed. They debuted with such high-flying colors. They were very impressive to me. And on top of all things, in the middle or in the beginning of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic tournament, I can only see these guys, going all the way forward until they get to one of these tag teams that'll definitely probably, give them a run for their money. But then I don't want to count out MSK this early because it'll be bound to happen where they can get to a stage where they can actually realize their potential, and then, of course, all of that and more. But I want to hear your take on how what's your opinion on how they're brought into NXT, how they debuted, and what is your take on the match that they had with Swerve Scott and Jake Atlas?
Well, like you mentioned, yeah, I followed. I guess we'd call them Wesley and Ash Carter, but to me, they're still Rascals. But these guys pretty much spent years and years honing their craft on Impact, and pretty much once they finally arrived on NXT and participating as part of the men's Dusty Rhodes Classic Tag men's tag tournament, and in that match with Jake Atlas and Isaiah Swerve Scott, it's like these two did not miss the beat. They were still, they're still the high flyers. They still have that cohesion, that chemistry that pretty much they're pretty much better at little by little on Impact, and they brought that element over to to NXT, and pretty much they brought it out to Jake and to Isaiah, and that's pretty much that's how they won the match. But what's gonna be the outlook for this year? Nothing but good things for them. I mean, if they're not probably vying for the NXT tag titles probably by this year, they're gonna have great matches. They're gonna have phenomenal matches. They're gonna have a great run. I say MSK this could be the year for MSK on NXT.
And I don't think they could have done it so sweetly for these guys to debut in the beginning, like I mentioned, of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic tournament, where a fortunate tag team will have a shot at the NXT tag team belts. And whoever the champions are right now, currently the champions are Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, yes, who are aligned right now with Pete Dunne. But look at these guys, man. We're just looking at the clip, and I see these guys are young, are fresh. They have turned up the tag team division right now to a good maybe 180, close to a 360. I mean, MSK, they just barely debuted. They got a long way to go, and on NXT, this is a fresh run for them, big time. Do you recall how they ended their run in Impact? That they ended on a high note, or did it ended well for them?
It ended well for them. Yes, they ended up on.
As we're seeing right here, I'm surprised that even Isaiah Swerve Scott, and Jake Atlas, they held their part in being a tag team against MSK, to be honest. But knowing how MSK was going to be a huge deal arriving to NXT, I felt that MSK was going to take this match and for them to advance in the Dusty Rhodes Classic tournament. See, right here, they almost had that chance, and I think it was Nash Carter that interrupted that 3 count that Jake Atlas wanted to make onto Carter's partner. Here, Nash Carter in position. Do you know what that finisher is called? Because that was their finisher in Impact? Or?
That was their finisher in Impact. I think it had a different name.
Oh, okay. And they won it. They defeated Atlas and Scott. And then, yeah. I'm looking forward to these guys actually make it all the way through. Because these guys have potential. They could be huge. I mean, this is just the beginning of the road for them to make it. The match that Raquel Gonzalez had with Rhea Ripley a couple of weeks ago, or actually the previous week, was a very harsh one, yet very exciting to watch. And I was as much as I liked Rhea Ripley, I was rooting for Raquel to actually win that last woman standing match. Now her main objective in the promo that we've seen this past Wednesday, she wants the NXT women's title and Io Shirai. If that does happen, I'm not going to say that it's going to be a mismatch, but Io Shirai is going to have to come up with a very, very effective strategy that'll bring Raquel Gonzalez down, maybe not to her knees, but all the way down. But I personally, as much as I like Io Shirai as well, I want to see Raquel Gonzalez become the NXT Women's Champion. So it's just a matter of time for that to happen. So we already, while we're on the subject of tournaments, turns out that there is going to be. Is it also under the late great Dusty Rhodes?
Yes.
The Dusty Rhodes Classic Women's Tag Tournament.
Yes.
So we understood that Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter,
Yes.
they're going to be a team. Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon, they're going to be a team. And there's other teams that have been mentioned. The bracket was already released. I think I said it in its time, and I was already making some sort of predictions. But I got to see that bracket again just so that I can state who I feel could probably take it. Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon, I think that's one team that could be possible of taking that trophy for the first time and making history. But we'll definitely talk it out. It's going to begin next week for them.
Yes, they're gonna start the first women's match.
Okay. What else? Xia Li. Second match dominated against the Jobber. It's like I stated this past Wednesday. It's like watching the previous model of Xia Li with the fans, like if she was Katana. Now she's morphed into Melina and being a vicious killer. A hell of an ass kicker. And this match didn't even took long. It was no more than couple of minutes. And Xia Li and Xia Li once again dominated. What else? Oh, of course, while we're on the tournament as well, Grizzled Young Veterans, they wanted to make a statement. They were first seen in last year's Dusty Rhodes Classic tournament. They were on there, but they weren't even on the card. This year, they were on the card. They faced Everrise. Both teams, and I'm going to get into the clip. To my surprise, both teams, they did pretty good. But I was asking myself, who wanted it more out of the two? Because we know how impactful, how physical Grizzled Young Veterans can get once they're in the ring. And look at this. We're seeing the clips right now. Oh my God. I mean, these guys, they're letting you know how bad they want to win this tournament. And I'm not too familiar with their names, but I know that I'm familiar with the fact that these guys, they came from NXT UK. That's all that I know. I barely grasp their names, even especially Everrise. Everrise, they've been on almost every single week. They were getting their butts kicked in matches, especially the ones that involved Drake Maverick and Killian Dane. But them being in the tournament against Grizzled Young Veterans, I got to give credit to Everrise. They tried to put up a fight. They brought that fight to the Grizzled Young Veterans. But the Grizzled Young Veterans, like I said, their volume was turned way up, and they advanced into the tournament. But like I said, right here, just looking at the clips, I don't want to discount or to discredit Everrise. They gave it everything they had in this match. They gave it everything they had here. Look at this. Oh, okay. Gibson. He saved his partner from, I guess, wanted to do a top move from the top turnbuckle. And look at that. Being brought up and into a spear as Everrise's attempt to getting a pinfall. And that didn't work out for them. taking one guy outside by Gibson of the veterans. His partner did a drop kick in the back of the head, tags in Gibson. Now I think they're going to do their finisher here. It looked like almost like a spike pile driver, but he just tosses his head and neck and into like kind of like a face breaker. And that's how the young veterans, the grizzled young veterans, advanced into the tournament. But yeah, I mean, Everrise, they're not jobbers, but yeah, I mean, just by looking at this match, they've been doing pretty good. I think they deserve more opportunities to hopefully maybe one day they become NXT Tag Team Champions. One day, I know it won't be right away, but it'll definitely go that way. Like we mentioned earlier, of course, Shotzi Blackheart, Candice LeRae, they had their match, and of course, involving Indy Hartwell with her interference. Of course, Candice LeRae won her match. But the start of the show, of course, that well, not even much of the start of the show. I think it was the second segment. NXT champion Finn Balor came out, wanted to let everybody know in the back that, hey, he's still standing, he's still the champion, until Pete Dunne and the tag team champions, Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, came out with them. And, they let the champion have it, but Finn Balor had a lot of fight in him. He fought all three guys until it came evident, they were all ganging up on him. Undisputed Era came out precisely first. Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly had his receipt the previous week, still dealing with the issue of the lower jaw, but he had no reason to be there. He should have been out resting, maybe getting an operation, whatever, but he had no business being there. And he was there. Adam Cole, of course. Excuse me. Roderick Strong were there. They were there to assist, and I believe to close out the show. Undisputed Era and Breezango, they were the main event. And I am going to jump into the clip because, Breezango, them coming back to NXT, to them, and in my opinion, it was a blessing. They improved drastically. They improved so much. They found their niche again. They belong there, to be honest. Raw and SmackDown, of course, it's for them, it's a waste for them being there. And in NXT, they flourish a whole lot more the way they should. And of course, seeing right here how they were facing Adam Cole and Roderick Strong for the first time as a duo, still representing the Undisputed Era. We're seeing in the clip how Tyler Breeze is down. He got up right now. Adam Cole just made it a tag, Roderick Strong. And yes, Tyler Breeze tagged in Fandango. Strong, going strong, literally, at Fandango here. And look at that, a slam down with his knee exposed. Kind of like a backbreaker type of deal. Strong, decking back and forth onto Tyler Breeze. Did a back suplex on Tyler Breeze towards Fandango. Even though Fandango was the legal guy. Only got a 2 count right there. Tags in Adam Cole, bye-bye. Chop to Fandango. In a position of a DVD driver, and Did like a gut buster. It looks like an enziguri combination. Cover. Only a 2 count. And another part of a highlight spot right here. Tyler Breeze is looking to... Oh, that would look like a modified backbreaker from Tyler Breeze. I don't know where the heck was I. I didn't get to see this. That was crazy, man. That was literally crazy. Never seen anything like it. Tyler Breeze trying to be on his feet. He was already like running with one leg down. Oh, slingshot. Oh my God. They were wasting Adam Cole here. Roderick Strong came in to break it up. Throws out Strong, swung him out of the ropes, out of the ring. He comes back in only to get kicked in the face. Super kick from Adam Cole to Tyler Breeze. Fandango was going to jump up high, kicks him in the face. Look at that inside-out clothesline quickly from Fandango. That is insane shit. That is some crazy shit right there. Then, of course, Kyle O'Reilly was on the outside. He was waiting for the tag team champions and Pete Dunne to come out, and they're all beating up on him. I was fearing for the worst for Kyle O'Reilly right here in this part. They got him right to that steel part of the entrance right there. They had him set up. Finn Balor comes out and saves Kyle O'Reilly from getting beat up by these 3 guys, kneeing up on Danny Burch. He got posted by Pete Dunne. And right there, the forearm shot onto Kyle O'Reilly's jaw. He's down on his knees, and then he gave him the knee shot right on the jaw. The son of a... Cole saw that super kick from Tyler Breeze onto Cole. Here I thought Breezango was going to get the shot right here. And they're posting Adam Cole on top. Roderick Strong comes in, knee shot to Tyler Breeze, and gets thrown out. Tyler Breeze rolls out. That only leaves Adam Cole and Fandango, and it looks like it was going to be like a destroyer, but that flopped out. That didn't work out. Fandango jumped up and only got a super kick from midair, and Adam Cole and Roderick Strong advanced, but they were definitely worried for Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly once again got hurt. I can't imagine what Kyle O'Reilly had to be feeling at that point, man. It's just too much pain, man, too much agony. You know, having to deal with what he already dealt with facing Finn Balor last week during the New Year's Evil match for the NXT title. That was just, man, that was just too much to absorb pain-wise, man.
Well, I want to point out by saying that in that title defense, Finn Balor pretty much nearly broke. I'm gonna say nearly broke Kyle's jaw, but nearly broke his teeth. And then this past Wednesday, when Kyle was there and backing up his friends in the Undisputed Era, and then he paid dearly. And when the Bruiserweight and Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch attacked them right there on the side of that barricade, right nearby that steel truss, and I'm saying to myself, like, oh man, like I'll be damned if Kyle O'Reilly is going to be out on the injured list.
Yeah. So now we just wait and see if we don't see Kyle O'Reilly next week on NXT, where he can definitely either stay at home, get operated, just something that way he can, be back to his to himself, back to his old self 100%, and just be himself again. So that is our talk for the Wednesday Night War. Now we move on to Monday Night Raw. And of course, this episode of Monday Night Raw, some superstars were pulling double shifts, pulling double segments, because I already had wind that Monday during the first hour when Raw was airing. And of course, normally when I watch the shows, I don't watch them live. I have them DVR'd and I watch them once Raw is done airing them live. And I watch them like later on because, you know, I do my own view of the Monday Night War all over again, but I do it my way with the use of the network. The news that I found out was supposedly, and I didn't want to believe it until I actually watched the episode, that Drew McIntyre was tested positive for COVID-19. And that's what I assumed that Triple H was there for, to acknowledge that. And it seemed like he was about to do that until Randy Orton came out and he stated, I know what you're here to do. You were going to state that, of course, Drew McIntyre's not here and that you're going to do the right thing. You're going to strip him of the championship and you're going to give it to me, right? So go ahead, do that. But Randy Orton wasn't there to strip McIntyre of the championship. No way. I mean, the whole COVID thing, we all know that it's a quarantine type of deal, and it's only 2 weeks, 14 days at the most. But they were in focus more of what Randy Orton has already done within the last number of weeks, months. Him getting at legends, how he's disrespecting them, especially one legend that they're both familiar with because he was a part of the Evolution days with them both, and that was the Hall of Famer and 16-time world champion, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Woo!
Wait. But before we continue, I just want to say there's more with Ric Flair that night, but nonetheless, continue.
Yes, you're right, and we are going to get to that after we're done talking about this angle with Randy Orton and Triple H. Bottom line is that how Legends Night, you know, it was going to the point where Randy Orton, to take his mind off of the Fiend and what he already did to the Fiend, being the Fiend killer and all, how he was going to taunt the legends that he already faced before and he already got wins over. But it seems like all of this was building up to where Triple H had to come out and he would be kind of like the icing on the cake for Orton. So Orton egged Triple H and dared him to get back in the ring with him. And that would be the main event for the night. And it ended up happening that way. I think Randy Orton, along the process, he was going to mention that he was going to be a part of the Royal Rumble. But here's the thing. I found out that that's no longer going to be the case, because Randy Orton is going to get back into the ring with the Fiend at the Royal Rumble. So there's going to be another one-on-one confrontation. I don't know if it's going to be another Firefly Funhouse match, if it's going to be another Inferno match, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But we're going to find out this Monday where all of this is going. And especially with what we witnessed on the main event. How the fight with Triple H and Randy Orton, it was getting interesting. It started to escalate. And we were going to get down already to the nitty-gritty when Triple H pulled out his favorite weapon of all time, his Deere sledgehammer. Brought it in, and then out of nowhere, it was the steelhead of that sledgehammer already lit on fire. Then, of course, all the lights would be shutting down part by part. And even we don't see the fire once it's all dark from Triple H's sledgehammer. Everything went black. And all the lights come back on, and it's the arrival of Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss here, Randy Orton right there, not that far away from each other. And lo and behold, Alexa Bliss turned into a human sector and did the flamethrower. And literally burned Randy Orton's face, eyes, whatever. And it's like, whoa, we didn't saw that coming. That was like a out of nowhere type of deal. Literally out of nowhere. I'm all like, what the heck did we just see? Did we just seen Alexa Bliss turn into Sector? Like, because I had to rewind on my DVR just to see what the heck was on Alexa Bliss's right arm, and it was a box, whatever, with buttons, I guess, to unleash out the biggest fireball whiz that can pass Randy Orton's face for him to get burned or to get exposed by the heat, burn, whatever, for it to score like if you were playing fireball soccer or whatever. And it paid off, but still it's like, it's that what the fuck type of deal. Like, what the fuck were we watching? You know, what the heck was that? So now the question is, what the heck are we going to see on Raw this Monday as far as Randy Orton's condition is concerned? Because now they got to sell where he may be blind, his face is burned, maybe 35%, 50%, 15%, whatever. Or this is going to lead to where he wants the Fiend again, leading towards the Royal Rumble and all of that. So we're going to have to wait and see what's going to be in store with the angle with Randy Orton a whole lot further as far as involving the Fiend is concerned.
But the question the WWE Universe wants to know after what took place last Monday is, after everything the Viper has done, constantly berating and putting down legends and at his expense, pretty much bragging about what he did to the Fiend at TLC. Pretty much the question on the minds of the WWE Universe is, has Randy Orton received his comeuppance? We'll find out this Monday. That's all I got to say.
You know what I'm still expecting? I'm expecting for the Fiend to come back either in his burned state, kind of like in an aftermath type of vision, or if his new creation will be something wicked clown, half satanic type of deal where he's going to look more ugly. Like beyond Power Rangers, Rita Repulsa's Monster Creations, Lord Zed's Beyond Finster's Creations, you know, that type of thing. Because I saw, like I said, I saw on the internet, I got to dig it up that way I can show you, where supposedly the concept of his new look, to me, it kind of looks like if it's beyond evil, beyond satanic type of view. At least the concept of it. It's not official, though. You know, it's not official at all. But like how they brought out the concept on the internet of what his new look can be once he debuts it at the Rumble. Oh, that would be definitely in our dreams and in our nightmares. But we will wait and see. We still have, we're barely in the middle of the month. We still have a few weeks, 3 weeks to go to see where all of that goes. We already talked about Nature Boy Ric Flair, and because of the shortage of superstars and not only, and before we get to Ric Flair once again, Drew McIntyre came out on a promo video stating that it is official that he has been tested positive for COVID-19, and said that that this COVID thing is no joke, to follow the guidelines, stay safe, mask up, distance yourself, the whole enchilada. And while we're on the subject of Drew McIntyre, let's just kill this off. He later on in the night went with a second promo video to give his answer on being challenged by another WWE Hall of Famer in Goldberg. Now, granted, last week their segment was so botched up, it was so out of whack and stupid. Like I mentioned, Goldberg put in lines onto the beginning of a feud that really had nothing to do with Drew McIntyre. It's like if all of that was meant for Randy Orton, because Drew McIntyre didn't disrespect any of the legends. No, he showed respect. The one who disrespected the legends was Randy Orton. So I don't know if Goldberg got the script all late and he's reading it out of tune. I don't know. But the bottom line is that it didn't make any sense. The only thing that made sense was Drew McIntyre's rebuttal, where the Thunder that you had 20 years ago, it's not there. And to be honest, is facing you, it would be like facing my old man, until he got the push. And of course, there's nothing but even though it went off the air, we didn't get to see the rest. But on YouTube, we got to see that they were still doing the shows back and forth, like they were freaking kids. And that was that for Drew McIntyre's involvement on the show. Now back to Ric Flair. Like I said, there was shortage on stars, and they had to bring Ric Flair back for this tidbit with his daughter Charlotte, one half of the women's tag team champions, and Lacey Evans. Now we're seeing this all over again. And then, of course, Nature Boy comes in the middle of the match, gets involved in it. And now it's looking like we're seeing the turn. Ric Flair turned on his own daughter. He turned on his own daughter, like, whoa, that type of deal. And now we got to see how all of this story goes in the upcoming weeks. But let's talk about the shortage in performers, how some superstars, they were pulling double duty. They were doing double segments. For example, Jeff Hardy. He originally got involved with Jackson Riker. Jackson Riker won the match. Jeff Hardy called out Elias, and they had their match. Jeff Hardy won the match. Another pair of superstars that had to pull double duty was Keith Lee and Sheamus. They had a backstage promo with the Yutz couple of Miz and Morrison. Then it first became a tag team match with Keith Lee and Sheamus. It looks like they were in sync. I love the way that they were in sync. And it's like everything that we saw was at Survivor Series was just old news, just old newspapers. And their sync in the ring was just amazing. They were giving Miz and Morrison a run for their money. One of the highlights was how, if I remember correctly, Keith Lee did the splash really hard and Morrison was on the turnbuckles. The top turnbuckle came loose, fell off, and even Keith Lee couldn't believe, like, whoa, did I just do that? That type of deal is like, wow, that was like, I got to rewind that. Am I seeing this right? Like, oh, man, that was just crazy. And, of course, they kept on further in the match. And Lee and Sheamus, they were just great. They won their match. Then it led to another segment. Went to commercial, but then all of a sudden, backroom commercial, Sheamus and Keith Lee, they were butting heads. Like we were good just minutes ago, and now you guys are getting at each other's throats. So then they pulled double duty, like I said, and it was a one-on-one match, Keith Lee versus Sheamus. Now, of course, nothing botched, nothing of anything that you can notice would be foul. Everything in that match was on the level. It was hard hitting. They did not hold back on each other. They just let it go. It was a very grade in 2 match. Keith Lee defeated Sheamus, and at the end, Keith Lee was extending his hand, a handshake, like, hey, good match. I won, but still, you gave me a hell of a match. Sheamus swat the hand away, and they hugged. Okay, like, cool. Newfound respect. There was respect. Now it's even bigger newfound respect. Like, awesome. That was awesome. I like that. Also, who else? Riddle pulled a double.
Yes.
Yeah, he did. Originally, Matt Riddle, he faced off Bobby Lashley for the U.S. title. Here I thought we were going to see what we saw last week, where Riddle could have pulled another fast one, and that wasn't the case. Bobby Lashley was just so pissed off from last week. He wanted to waste Riddle that harsh. That the full Nelson bottom line, Bobby Lashley still retained. I mean, it was a very good, intense match, but Bobby Lashley was just dominating all the way. There was no way in hell that Bobby Lashley was going to let Riddle defeat him. While tired, Riddle grabbed the microphone and challenged MVP in his street clothes and all that. He's like, I want you now. Like, get your ass in here. And even to my surprise, MVP gave it to Riddle, and he defeated Riddle. So he's the only superstar that didn't succeeded in his double pull duty of segments. But still, it was what it was. Xavier Woods against T-Bar. There was back and forth between the two guys that showed that T-Bar obviously dominated more. But Xavier Woods, he pulled out all the stops as much as he tried. He did as much as he could. But it was just T-Bar was just too much. And, of course, T-Bar got the win. Let's see what else. Yeah, and even I wondered as we were going into the night, is AJ Styles was going to come out with this guy. How do you pronounce it now? Amos. Not almost or Amos. It's Amos. Yes. When the heck were they going to pop out on the show? So it was already almost near the end of the third hour. AJ was seen in the back. And I think Adam Pearce was involved too in that angle in the back, and Drew Gulak did popped out. So
Yeah.
now this was for, I guess, to be involved in the Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
AJ Styles versus Drew Gulak. And these guys, they did pretty good in their match. But yes, evidently AJ Styles took the match and he defeated Drew Gulak. Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke saw a contest against Nia Jackson, Shayna Baszler, and once again we were seeing how Nia Jackson, Shayna Baszler were working as a duo. It looked like Nia Jax was kind of at the end of close to the end of the match. She was kind of being a little iffy for a bit, but Shayna Baszler, of course, last week she was embarrassed by Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. She had to get her revenge, her comeuppance, and she did that. She did her submission on Dana Brooke for the victory. And that is pretty much it. So we covered all the segments for Raw. Let's talk about SmackDown. SmackDown is just getting more better every single time. Even this last night's episode, there wasn't a single segment that I found boring at all. Everything was just, on point, especially with seeing Shinsuke Nakamura dominating during that elimination matchups that he had. He already eliminated Corbin. He eliminated Daniel Bryan, and it was going to be him and Adam Pearce. And then, of course, we all know that, the involvement of Roman Reigns and Jey Uso, it was evident. Don't need to say any more about that. How the show opened up, I remember it was Heyman and Roman Reigns. They were doing some contractual discussions about the Royal Rumble match with the Tribal Chief and Adam Pearce. And Heyman, in his own special consultant style, he says it's going to be dealt with. And that proceeded Jey Uso to come out to talk and say, the locker room should be thanking Roman Reigns for everything, how he's making SmackDown better, how he's getting better catering, and and everything else, which led to his match with Shinsuke Nakamura. So they had a very good match. They had a very decent match, and Cesaro came out for support while talking on commentary, and Nakamura got the match over Jey Uso. Let's see what else. And of course, talking about Adam Pearce, he was in the back with Sonya Deville. Now, everybody doesn't know that Sonya Deville, at least from what I'm seeing, from what I can understand, it's leading to the point where Sonya Deville, I think he's going to be maybe assisting Adam Pearce with decisions and all of that, being an official capacity, to say the least, because Sonya Deville is looking very, and I never said this before with a woman actually wearing a suit, but she looks dapper wearing a suit, like how she does. A female Brody Lee type of look. But she's there obviously to help Adam Pearce, I guess, assist with decisions or whatnot, or being coached on what he does, while he's on those rounds. Heyman comes in and, of course, delivers the contract to where it'll be him and the Universal Champion Roman Reigns in a was it a no DQ match to begin with?
I think.
Yeah, it was I think a no DQ match or whatever. And when Heyman gave the contracts back to Roman, he did not like the idea. So Roman suggested that it should be a last man standing match. So once again, Heyman's got to get it handled. And, of course, he gave the papers back to Adam Pearce. But now this time he's going to have to sign them once he is in the ring in the presence of the Tribal Chief and Universal Champion. Liv Morgan and Natalya had a match one-on-one. The involvement of Billie Kay still lingering, in this view. They're just making Billie Kay look silly, but at the end, you should have seen it. At the end, it was kind of like a payoff, because while she was trying to support the Riot Squad, it ended up going all the wrong way, and Natalya sees the opening and defeated Liv Morgan, unfortunately, with the distraction of Billie Kay. The story with King Corbin going against the Mysterios. Obviously, Corbin once again defeated Rey Mysterio because of having to fiddle around. Corbin had to fiddle around with Dominic Mysterio's emotions, thoughts, just pretty much, have him to sucker him into getting into his dad's match. Until he told him, no, salte mijo. You shouldn't come in, you shouldn't be in this match, And that's where Corbin got the advantage and got the 1-2-3 and defeated Rey Mysterio again. And then, of course, in the backstage, Dominic was irate, but Rey calmly told him, hey, you want to do this right? You want to go against Corbin? We got to come up with a strategy. And I know the perfect person that could help us. Who is it going to be? We don't know. We're going to find out next Friday. Carmella, of course, cut a promo in the back saying that she's still untouchable. If you're still untouchable, then why are you letting Sasha Banks, the SmackDown Women's Champion, come in to touch you? Like, really, Miss Thing? I don't want to call you Miss Thing because, you're still hot and everything. But once again, Sasha Banks comes in and proves that she's not so untouchable, that she's touchable.
And speaking about women, you know what took place that last night?
In the form of?
The shows, segments. This coincidence involves women. Because we already dealt with Carmella and Sasha, who had formed the feud. And then last month, these two formed the feud. And one told the other, you don't BS me. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to get under my skin and whatnot.
Who are we talking about here?
Bianca and Bailey.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was going to get to that. But yeah. And especially, since you didn't point out, they're bringing out this whole new idea for Bailey to be a talk show host, where we saw the debut of Ding Dong Hello. Here I thought it was going to be another stupid idea, but to my surprise, I like Ding Dong Hello more than the waiting room. Because to me, the waiting room, it's nothing but a flashback of a backstage segment that only you can see on WWF Superstars that we've already seen in the past, like Piper's Pit, like the funeral. What was it? The funeral home? No,
the funeral parlor.
The funeral parlor, yes. The barbershop. That reminded me more about the barbershop because of those white walls. That's what the waiting room felt like to me. That, of course, even though it debuted on Dark and it finally debuted on Dynamite, it felt like it went from WWF Superstars leading to Monday Night Raw back in the 90s, of course, from, syndicated station to a cable channel. But Ding Dong Hello, I think it brought a refresher kind of, and it's kind of like adding more to Bailey's character, because now that we know that Stone Cold Steve Austin gives a thumbs up on her work and he digs it, that's just going to make Bailey's character a whole lot enticing, so to speak. And to Bailey's credit, I like the way she was dressed. I like the way she carried herself as a host. The show was okay in my opinion. It really was. And having Bianca Belair as her first guest, of course, there had to be some verbal exchanges to where we're going to see, I'm better than you, or you're better than her, that same quirk, And all of a sudden it leads to now where there's going to be an obstacle course challenge between Bailey and Bianca Belair. I don't know if we're going to see it next week or this is going to be towards the Rumble, but it's like, it reminds me of the song of anything you can do, I can do better, and that type of thing. And that's how it's going to go down. And then, of course, at the very end, Cesaro had a match with Daniel Bryan. We got to see more of that. It was spectacular. Cesaro got the win. Congratulations to him. But we're seeing Daniel Bryan kind of die down. And then, of course, to end it all, Pierce came in to sign the contract, but also added like an extra stipulation to where Roman Reigns gets suckered, and then it ends up being Kevin Owens that signs the contract. So it'll be Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, Universal title, last man standing at the Royal Rumble. What about that, Jay? It's going to be a killer seeing those two guys again for the umpteenth time, I guess, if you can say that. But nonetheless, it was another great episode of SmackDown, and they're just rolling right now. They're really, really rolling, and it's only going to get better from here, nonetheless. And ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us here tonight for this episode of the Wrestling Weekend Recap. For the one and only Jade, I am Aceman X. Thank you very much for watching. We appreciate that you stuck around with us. And we want to say that we want to thank everyone who has subscribed to the Aceman Armageddon channel lately. It is very appreciated. Thank you very much. If it's for the wrestling show that we're doing, or if it's the wrestling content that we already have uploaded, thank you very much for liking the videos, subscribing, commenting. That is why it's there for all of you on YouTube to actually do your thing the only way you know how. Until then, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Have a great night. See you next week. And don't forget to mask up, social distance, stay safe, everyone out there. Peace and love worldwide. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great night.